The Creatures of Narnia. One day, 4 siblings, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy Pevensey, discovered a land full of magical creatures, ruled by the White Witch, an evil sorceress. That land is called Narnia. Lots of curious and wonderful talking creatures live in Narnia. Some are good, but others are very, very bad. Come inside the wardrobe to meet them all. Lucy met Mr. Tumnus on her first trip into Narnia. Mr. Tumnus is a faun. He has the body of a man on top, legs like a goat below, and hooves for feet. On his head are 2 pointy horns. Lucy had never seen a faun before, but she was very glad that she had met Mr. Tumnus. He asked her to tea, and they got along so well that they were soon good friends. Edmund didn't believe his sister Lucy when she told him about Mr. Tumnus. He thought magical creatures were all imaginary. So he was quite surprised when he ran into a mean-looking dwarf named Gnabric. Gnabric is very small, not much taller than you. He has a long beard and wears a pointy hat. Some dwarfs are good, but not Gnabric. He is the driver of the White Witch's sleigh. Edmund didn't realize it at first, but even though the White Witch looks like a great lady with fair skin and beautiful fur robes, she is not a lady at all. She's an enchantress who rules Narnia with dark magic. More than 100 years ago, she cast a spell, making it always winter in Narnia. Even worse, with one quick flick of her wand, she turns innocent creatures to stone. Not every creature in the forest is afraid of the White Witch. In fact, Mr. Beaver and many other noble creatures secretly planned to free their land from her wicked curse. When Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy met Mr. Beaver in the forest, he took them through the thick trees to his dam. Mrs. Beaver prepared a delicious meal, and Mr. Beaver told stories about Narnia. Mr. Beaver started to tell the children about the White Witch and her terrible followers, but Edmund sneaked away while he was talking. Edmund should have listened to Mr. Beaver, because at the White Witch's castle he met Morgrim, the evil wolf, who is captain of the witch's secret police. Morgrim uses his nose to follow the White Witch's enemies through the forests and across the mountains. He leads a small army of wolves who fight for the White Witch. It is very hard to defeat the wolves, but sometimes they can be outsmarted. Mr. Fox is one of the cleverest animals in the forest. He isn't very large, but he makes up for it with his quick thinking. When Morgrim and his wolves were chasing Peter, Susan, Lucy, and the beavers, Mr. Fox knew just what to do. While the children hid in a tree, he convinced the giant wolf that they had already gone away. Mr. Fox and Mr. Beaver could never defeat the White Witch on their own, even if all the creatures in the forest helped. But they had a very powerful friend. They knew that Aslan, the true king of Narnia, would return. Aslan is a great and noble lion. He will bring spring back to Narnia and free the land from the White Witch. The children decided to go with the beavers to join Aslan's army. It was a dangerous journey, but they needed to save Narnia. During their journey, they met a dryad. A dryad is a tree spirit that takes the form of a beautiful lady. The dryad appeared out of a cherry tree that was blossoming for the first time in 100 years. Finally, it was time for the great battle. The White Witch's army was a scary sight. Cyclops, giant creatures with only one eye, marched around with huge clubs. Fearsome Minotaurs wore spiky armor. Evil harpies snarled their fangs and waved their long arms. And enormous giants ripped up trees with their bare hands. In Aslan's army, their powerful unicorn reported for duty. Brave centaurs readied for battle. Enormous griffins soared through the sky. Fauns gathered their weapons. Satyrs put on their shiny metal armor. The battle was fierce, but with Peter, Susan, Edmund and Lucy's help, Aslan and his army brought peace back to Narnia. Now it's time for you to go back to your world, unless, of course, you would rather stay here. Do you think you'll be lucky enough to return to Narnia one day? One thing is certain, you will always remember its magical creatures.